I'd like to introduce our teacher today, just a little bit about Martine Batchelor. She lived in Korea as a Zen nun and under the guidance of Master Kusan for 10 years. She's the author of Meditation for Life, The Path of Compassion, Women in Korean Zen, and Let Go, a Buddhist Guide to Breaking Free of Habits. She's a member of the Gaia House Teacher Council. She teaches meditation retreats worldwide and lives in France. Her latest work is The Spirit of the Buddha. So we invite you on, Martine. I'm going to just send you a brief invite to turn your video on, and welcome to our program.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. And here we are. Let's start with the meditation. So I'm very happy to be with you here at whatever time of the day it is for you. So if you can find a comfortable posture, the back is straight, the shoulders are open. And then gently, let's start by anchoring in the breath. Gently resting our attention on the breath. Just feeling the air coming through the nostril and coming out again. We're not forcing the breath, we just let it happen. Looking deeply into the breath, into the air that we breathe, we realize we are all sharing the same air. Through the breath, we have a deep connection with all of life. Time to time we get distracted and then we come back to the breath, to the sensation of the breath coming in, coming out. How does it feel to breathe? How does it feel, this sensation of the air coming in, coming out? Is it a little pleasant, a little unpleasant, or more or less neutral? Neither. Just being aware of that tonality of the contact of the sensation of the air coming in, coming out. Then we might turn our attention to sound, listening to the sounds around us, or listening to the silence, opening ourselves to the music of life, arising, passing away. when you hear a sound, what's the tonality? Is it a little pleasant, a little unpleasant, or neither? When the sound goes, does the tonality goes with it? If the sound continues, does the tonality remain the same? Now coming back to the breath. Just being with the breath. Feeling the air coming in, coming in. Thank you. So now, I like to maybe a little explain what I was doing. I mean, it was quite brief, but it's a short meditation. But what I was trying to do is looking a little bit at what is going to help us to dissolve our habits. Often we find that we get a little stuck. We seem to repeat a little the same thing. And it hurts us, it hurts others. And so in a way, one might wonder, how is a meditation going to help me with this kind of repetitive habits? Kind of in a way, doing the same thing again and again. And so the way I would suggest at a very basic level is that we have mental habit, physical habit, emotional habit, relationship habit. And those habits started as survival mechanism. They start out as function. And then over time, they become automatic. They become very repetitive. And then in a way, it's kind of nearly like something which was functional, a creative function, it could help us to survive. Then in a way, it's kind of like it fixes us. And so in a way, when we meditate, the first thing we might notice is in a way the mental habit that we have thought coming and going, or maybe a certain way we feel or certain sensation. And in a way, when we meditate, what we're trying to do is to cultivate together what I call anchoring and looking deeply. So anchoring is actually the fact that we focus, we rest our attention on an object. It can be the breath, it can be the sound, it can be the tonality we experience upon contact with the breath or with the sound or through the sixth sense door. And so let's start with the breath. So this is a good way to anchor. Of course, as long as you're not asthmatic or you have a big cold, and then you can do a listening meditation. So in a way, you use the breath as an anchor, just like an anchor would anchor a boat, so that the anchor helps the boat not to get lost at sea and not to break or break itself against other boats. And it's the same here. We come back to the breath, and so it anchors us. But it doesn't mean that we're totally immobile or we have no thought, for example. Of course, we have thought. But generally what happens is that we have a thought and it leads to another thought and we can notice as you meditate, you might be planning, daydreaming, judging, fantasizing, counting. I mean, we do all kinds of things. So in a way, meditation can help us to notice the repetition of the thought, of the emotion, of the sensation. And so the anchoring, the meditation works very much one level, is to help us to be more calm. And how does that work? Actually, by trying to dissolve the repetition, so that we try to be with the breath, then we go away. But then we come back to the breath. Then we go away again. Then we come back again. And as the Zen master said, you can go away 1,000 times, but he gives you the opportunity to come back 1,000 times. And actually, when we come back to the breath, 4 things are going to happen. The first one is that you do not feed the thought. So actually, you don't feed the repetition. Then the second thing that happens is that you dissolve the power of the habit. The third thing is that you bring it back to its creative function. Planning, reflecting, imagining, this is all creative mental function. But when it becomes kind of like really fixated, then it really can be hurtful for ourselves, for others. So here the meditation helps it to come back to the creative function. And the fourth thing that happens is the fact that when we come back to the breath, we don't just come back to the breath, we come back to the whole experience. And so we have to see when we go into a thought or an emotion or sensation, we go into a small bit of our experience. When we come back to the breath, we come back to the whole moment, ourselves in this environment. And so we can do that with the sound, with the sensation. Any anchoring will have those 4 functions. And then, of course, it helps us to be more calm. And it also helps us to come back to more creative function. Then the other aspect of the meditation is looking deeply. And this, at the basic level, is being aware of impermanence, of change. And so in a way, it's kind of with the breath, noticing, oh, it comes a little cooler, comes out a little warmer. With the sound, noticing, oh, they come and they go. And then we can add a little touch of tonality. Personally, I think tonality are very important because that's generally what will be a little triggering. Like if you have a pleasant tonality, nice sound, like if you hear a little bird, I like that. But then if suddenly somebody was kind of, having a big engine next to you, I am not so sure about that. So in a way, you have the contact with the sound, and immediately, at the same time, you have this pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And generally, we have quite a fast, again, automatic reaction to the pleasant, to the unpleasant, to the neither, neutral. And so in a way, the mindfulness, being aware of the tonality, when we hear a sound, or when we taste something, or when we see something, smell something, or when we have a thought. Because I mean, thoughts are the same. You have a thought suddenly, and then again, you have a thought, oh, if I won the lottery, pleasant. Oh, if this happened, unpleasant. And then generally, kind of, the problem we have is that we have the thought, we have the sensation, and then kind of we grasp and it kind of amplify a little bit. So the idea with the looking deeply is trying to become a little more aware of how long does it last. So in a way, that's when you can, through that, become mindful that something lasts not much, if they light. So in a way, when we have experiences, you could say you have light experiences, habitual, repetitive experiences, and what I would call intense experiences. And so if you have a light experience, then, oh, you can ask, how long does it last? Instead of associating it with something and amplifying it, just, oh, it was here. Oh, now it's gone. I did not do anything with it, and now it's gone. Or it can be something which is more habitual. It seems to repeat itself. But if you look at it, even if it repeats itself, it's not 24/7. Time to time, it will happen. At other time, it won't. And then you start to look deeply into the change. What are the conditions which makes it happen? What are the conditions which doesn't make it happen? And then you have the intense level, which is you feel something, it's really sudden and it's really shocking to the system. And the problem here is that it's very intense. And it's very difficult to be really intense. And so here, the meditation is not going to stop the intensity, but the meditation might help us to gently try to come back to the breath, try to come back to the sound, try to come back to the tonality, so that we don't amplify more. So we still experience the intensity, but we don't add anything to it. And so over time, the intensity, like all things, will pass. So, it's kind of accepting this is going on, at the same time not amplifying it, and at the same time using the anchoring to bring a little space, a little calm, and also remembering with the looking deeply, at some point, these two will pass. So in a way, when we're doing the meditation, we're trying to cultivate anchoring and looking deeply together. And then this is going to help us to develop calm and clarity. And that calmness and clarity is going to become what I would call creative awareness, creative mindfulness. And the creative awareness, the creative mindfulness has in a way two aspects. One is acceptance, but not acceptance as resignation, but acceptance as, this is what is going on. So really by coming back to the breath, to the sound, or to the tonality, we come back not just to that, but to the whole moment. And then we kind of like, oh, this is what's going on now. And so we're really in the experience. And so in a way we bring this, one could say, radical acceptance, kind, caring acceptance, clear acceptance to, oh, this is what's going on. Sometimes just acceptance can transform the thing. But sometimes we have to actually directly do something, to what I call creatively engage. So maybe we have to take a rest, maybe we have to address a situation, maybe we have to avoid certain places, certain people. So in a way, you have the acceptance and the creative transformation, which go a little bit together. Creative acceptance, creative transformation, through actually cultivating this anchoring, through actually cultivating this looking deeply. And then we can bring this creative awareness in our daily life. And possibly, in a way, one thing we can ask, just as a little thing, how long is this going to last? This repeats itself, but in which condition does it repeat itself? This is intense. How can I find some calmness? Not stop the intensity, but how can I find some calmness within the intensity? So I hope maybe these few words were a little helpful. So if there are any questions now, I am happy to answer them. So the question, sometimes my view are my strongest habits. you think this technique will also work for breaking strongly held views? So you see, what is a view? This is interesting. What is a view? A view is actually a thought. A thought is a little electricity in the brain connecting. And so in a way, yeah, you can have a view, but the problem is not so much the view. The problem is how much I identify with the view. This is what is a little tricky. So in a way, it's kind of like, how can I have an idea? How can I have ethics? How can I have direction? How can I have aspiration, intention? So this comes from idea. So in a way, because you have this, in the Buddhist teaching, you have the idea of appropriate view. And what is appropriate view? Appropriate view actually is to understand impermanence. This is appropriate view. So in a way, the thing about view is how can we hold them lightly? So the problem with views is because they seem to be in our head, we think, this is my view. This is mine. And because it's my view, we have a tendency to think it's a right view. And then the next thing we think, it's a right view, it's only view, everybody must believe the same I believe. And then it becomes a little difficult to have a little discussion because the person will do exactly the same. So in a way, is can we approach views in a different way? Can we see, it's an idea. It could be a good idea. It could be a useful idea. It could be a really important value which gives meaning to my life. But can it be held lightly? So in a way, it's kind of the difference between aspiration. You aspire towards something. So you have, I hope that your views is kind of more connected to aspiration than what I would call fixed view, expectation, something more fixed. So I think the problem is not so much the view, is what do you do with the view and how do you hold it? And I would say yes. Meditation, by helping us to bring back, to go back to the creative functioning of ideas, maybe make us be more creative with our views and also hold them in a more creative way. I would say so. Anything else? So from David and Nikki, often compulsive, harmful speech and action seems to come from nowhere without awareness. How is anchoring helpful in this situation? You see, actually what is very helpful is the fact that what you point out is so true, that we speak fast and we act fast. And in a way, what we're trying to do with the anchoring is really calm the system down a little bit so that we react. We still, in a way, it's kind of the difference between what I call automatic reaction and creative response. So in a way, I feel that if we're a little agitated or a little nervous, a little anxious, that actually it's much harder to have this kind of creative speech or this creative action. So what we can notice is, when is it that my speech is wise? When is it that my action is wise? When is it that it's harmful, action or speech? And we might notice is often when we have unpleasant feeling tone. Actually, if we have unpleasant feeling tone, then we react quite fast to that. But at the same time, if we have very pleasant feeling tone, we can become excited also. And that also can bring the compulsion. And so in a way, the meditation, really the meditation, the anchoring, the looking deeply is helping us to have more awareness. So in a way, the awareness becomes more continuous. Not continuous all the time, of course, because it's also impermanent according to condition, but the meditation helps us to be more calm, more steady, more balanced, a little more aware. So it's kind of like it creates this space so that instead of really reacting so fast, we still respond, but there is more space within it. It's a bit kind of the difference between feeling like a mountain inside or feeling like a kind of little grass, which is moving all the time. So if you feel like a mountain inside, then that will actually give a certain thing to the speech, to the action. When if we feel like a little grass in the wind, then it's very hard actually to have that steadiness. And so it's again, what are the conditions that's going to help with the balance, the steadiness? And also to see that, again, we might have compulsive, harmful speech and action, but again, not all the time. So again, becoming also interested with the looking deeply, what are the conditions which gives rise to one and the harmless one and the more creative, appropriate one. So is there anything else, or maybe we can stop here?
I think that might be the end of the questions for you, Martine. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing the beauty of the breath and the gift of sound and tonality and body awareness. And I really think that practices like these can help ground us in our recovery efforts. It was a beautiful teaching. Thank you. So let's see. I wanted to just let everyone know that, sorry, I'm having a little issues with the controls here. I'm going to just turn this off. Okay. If you'd like to show your support for our network and for Martine today, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to share the Donna link this time with everyone, which I didn't do before. And yeah, I want to, encourage you to, our generosity can help strengthen the recovery community and grow our academy. And it can be such a practical expression of gratitude and metta. So anytime, even if it's not today, visit our website, you can donate there. I wanted to let you know that Martine and Stephen Batchelor will both be providing an online course beginning tomorrow on secular Dharma. And I'm going to put the details here for you in the chat field and then also read them online for our podcast audience. Secular Dharma begins a 6-week online distance learning program course. It's open to all. And it's run in collaboration with Tricycle, a Buddhist review, and it begins tomorrow. And so if you go search for Martine and Stephen Batchelor's website, you'll find the link there also. And then just to let you know, our next Buddhist Recovery Network Academy is a month from now. We do this the first Sunday of every month. And next month is December 1st. And we'll have Spring Washam join us. Thank you very much for being here. It's been really lovely to share in the Dharma with you today, and may all beings be well and at ease. Thank you kindly. I'll leave the room open for another 10 minutes or so you can copy any of the links that we pasted. So appreciate you being here today. Thank you.